to today's stream, the first one of this week. Oh, my mic stand is slightly in the way, let me just... that'll do. As you can see, we are working on a full body character today, which I haven't done for a little while on this channel, which will be fun. They are a fire Genasi, and I'm just trying to remember what class they are. Double check the details from Commissioner. Unfortunately, Chrome decided to kill all my tabs before I started today, so... Hey, Les F and Rebel, thank you so much for joining me as always. Lovely to see you here. And Cyber Spectre as well. Wonderful. But yes, Fire Genasi today. Hold on, I've almost got the details for the character up. Not actually sure if I know what class they are, but they're definitely some kind of caster, at least. Anyway, for now, I'm going to be finishing off the line art. I've already, as you can see if I turn that off, done quite a lot of the line art. In fact, we can clear up some of these layers. We don't even need... We'll keep the shadow, we don't need that. We also don't need that. Just tidy things up, make things look better. I've already done this much of the line art, which is kind of continue going down. They are wearing a very cool kind of coat and skirt ensemble with lots of floaty fabric, which I love painting, so kind of like the perfect thing. I'm going to turn the opacity of the sketch down a little bit so I can see what I'm doing nice and easily. But yeah. Oh, Bordela Falas, thank you so much. But yes, I think what I'm going to do next is... I think we'll finish the chest. As you can see, she's got a kind of a crossbody bag. That's going to be on top on a separate layer. So for now, well actually let's finish the hair. We've got, I'm not going to do a lot of detail here because you can see the kind of scarf is going to come down and across there. But I will fill in the hair coming in just there under the arm. So going back down to a 7, which is what I've been using for most of this line art. And making sure that we have the right kind of colour selected. There we go. Just a little bit of hair down there. Now we can go back to this layer and do some work on the shirt. I've kind of got a crossbody tunic shirt going on here. So I'm just going to pop that in. So it's going to be a very small amount of skin just there. Oh, this probably means, yeah, I'm going to add some detail to this collar. Like so. Nice. And then we just got a few kind of fabric folds to kind of go under here, kind of under the bust sort of area. So I'm just trying to work out best kind of positioning for them. Let's do the bottom of the shirt first and then I'll kind of think about it, I think. Oh, Liddy Luris, thank you so much. I'm very pleased you were able to join us for this one. It's lovely to have you. I'm going to keep it fairly simple. I'm going to put most of the shading and fabric folds in the color layer. We don't want to make it too complicated at this stage, so keeping it easy for now. Let's pop in these belts, I think, is the next thing I want to do. This one here, I want to put a nice buckle on. The buckle will go roughly here. side. Yeah, the tail's gonna be on the other side, so. There we go. And then the other side of the belt's just gonna come up around the hip. Like so. And then we kind of have some fabric getting kind of bunched up where the coat is going underneath the belt. Aww, quiet and chill and informative is a very nice compliment, so thank you. You're all too kind. Thank you so much, Zebo Steel, for following, and also to Serit Stormblood. Sorry I missed you earlier. Very excited. Tonight's the night where I get to play D&D again, which means my Beast Barbarian gets to get out and stretch. I'm very excited for. Currently trying not to get murdered by a cave full of Ublexes, which was great so far. Okay, nice. I'm quite pleased how those belts have come out. So I think the next thing I want to do is do these kind of tails of the coat coming down and around. But yes, it does mean that on Friday I'll be able to update you of the adventures of Reza, the Beast Barbarian. The rest of the party, absolutely adorable. There is a tiefling bard who just gets into all the trouble, super shady, but absolutely adorable and gorgeous, and we all love him. My character's quite smug at the moment because one of our newest party members is a Hexblade Warlock who is totally not a vampire. But like my character's like, that's super sus right from the start. Even though, ironically, being a Beast Barbarian, my character can actually regain hit points by biting people, but no one knows that yet, so it's fine. I'm just gonna let that stay on the DL for now. But there was like some kind of fledgling chemistry between the Tiefling Bard and the Hexblade non-vampire Warlock, and then the vampire got dumped, which was really sad. Also, the vampire has like the surname Von Zarovich, which is very indicative of something dodge going on. Of course, not that our characters have any idea what that means, but still, slightly concerning. But yeah, the Tiefling totally dumped the poor vampire, so I'm now consoling a heartbroken vampire in our party, which is just, you know, typical D&D things, I suppose. I love them though, all the characters are great. We've also got a fantastic Spore Druid, Wood Elf Spore Druid called Seri, who also happens to be a weber. Softest, most precious friend. A good old human fighter. Battlemaster, I think? Who is just that kind of one brain cell of the party. But because she's also the only human, she's the only one that doesn't have dark vision and all of the other random crap that everyone else gets, so it's just like, this isn't fair every time we go into a dungeon. But yeah, it's been a lot of fun. And then we also have a very lovely, I think they're Oath of Redemption Paladin, who is an ASMR. Who my character totally does not have a small crush on. Yeah, it's rough being the only one without dark vision. I think we can all attest to that. Oh, thank you so much to the gifted sub, That's so kind. I'm almost up to this month's kind of sub goal, which is really wonderful. So thank you so much to everyone who has subbed this month. It's very, very kind of you and helps me out massively. Alright, we're almost done with the coot. Yeah, I love ASMR. They're probably my next favourite after Tieflings and Water Genasi. Because you can just go so ham on the design. Let's just tidy up this join a little bit up here. Nice. Okay, so I think the next thing to do is finish this kind of waist belt that she's wearing. Hey, Sea of Atlas! Oh, I hope it's warmer in California than it is here. I'm so cold. Our little 2-bed flat doesn't really have proper heating, and it has no insulation whatsoever. So this time of year, I just have broken out my electric space heater because it is so desperately cold in this flat. It's still in the attempting to move house situation at the moment, but obviously because of lockdown and COVID, you can't expect people to move super fast when it comes to getting details that you need to pass through like 3 different people before you can even kind of get the house buying process moving. So it's just about being patient. Oh, Asphalt Asian Paladin sounds amazing. I have never played a Paladin, I must admit. My next class on my personal list is Cleric, because I really want to play a Cleric. But I don't know what kind of race I'd play. I'd quite like it eventually to try Eladrin. Eladrin sounds really fun. There with these kind of long bits. Oh, Sailor, that's really cool. I think if I was going to play a Cleric, they would be a Storm Tempest Cleric. I really love Tempest Clerics. Now we've kind of got those fabric-y bits down. What is next? I think next we'll do the legs and the booties. I'm going to do a new layer for them though, just so you know, for now we can keep our options open. Ugh. Glass is getting stuck. And to start with, we're just going to do the line coming out the side of the leg. Like so. Might just reinforce this line while I'm here. There we go. And then we'll do the same on the other side. And then the boots. I've been trying to do the final bits I need to do for my Destiny video that I'm going to be putting on YouTube in the next couple of days, but finding time to do those kind of side projects is always a nightmare, right? I'm like on the final stage and I just can't, I'm not quite there yet. All the audio is recorded, so that's the fun part. Now I've just got to do the background videos. Oh, Eladrin are really cool. I want to do like a moth-themed character at some point. Because like, I got this really adorable notebook. Because sometimes, you know, you just pick up notebooks because they're pretty. And it's got like these really cool colours and bugs on it. And I want to theme a character for the notebook. And so I've got the perfect kind of like place to write all my notes for the character in. It's just like aesthetic goals. I want to be that person that has a notebook themed to every character they play. Okay, now we've got the tops of the boots down, we can kind of work our way down with the body of them. They're fairly tight. Boots got some kind of Molly Mork style vibes going on. Notebooks and dice, indeed. Oh, that's so nice. I'd love to have a quill style pen, that'd be really cool. Thank you so much. Okay, here we go. Kersinid for following. I hope I said that right. If not, feel free to correct me. But thank you very much, and I hope you enjoy the stream. Oh, and remember, if you have subscribed or you've received a sub gift in stream, if you have Discord, we have our own little Discord community. So please do check that out, and kind of we chat about art and D&D and all sorts of things. It's just a very chill, nice kind of group of people. So much Glitterbeard for following as well. I always find follows kind of pop in at once. Kind of got Naruto style sandals going on here, which I kind of like. I always like the ninja boots they had in the show. Together, like, hey Rio-san, I'm doing very well, thank you. It's pretty cold here at the moment, but I've got heating on, well, heater, and yeah, we're just gonna have a nice chill stream today. And the nice part is I should be done with all this line art soon, so then I'll be able to do the fun bit, which is colouring. Also, I'm super excited today because I received a copy of a TTRPG book that I contributed some illustrations to earlier this year today. And it's the first time I've actually had a physical book with my illustrations in it, so I'm very hype about that. I'm just kind of waiting to see if I'm allowed to talk about it, and if so, you bet I'll be tweeting about that, because it's very exciting. Yeah, very cool. Hopefully there'll be more soon. I'm finally gonna pluck up the courage to submit my portfolio to Wizards in the new year, I think. Very exciting. And thank you all so much. You're all very kind, and you definitely help give me a lot of confidence for doing all of this stuff. Okay, there are the legs. I'm just going to add in obviously the back part of the coat / skirt. Which is going to be fairly light. To get that kind of thinner fabric, just using really light touches, like barely kind of putting any pressure at all. Okay, we could do with another arm, I suppose, and also her crossbody bag and her little scarf. So with that in mind, I'm going to merge this layer down, just so we've got a few less things kind of cluttering us up. And I think it's time, we'll do the arm first. Oh, what equipment do I use? Yeah, so I use the Wacom Cintiq 16, which was like an affordable model of Cintiq Wacom brought out a few years ago. It's still about 400 to 500 quid depending on where you buy it, so it's still very expensive. But if you're kind of, you know, you're going to be doing art in a professional capacity, it's kind of worth doing. I find it speeds up my workflow a lot. And I was lucky enough to kind of be full-time employed at the time when I bought it, because if I hadn't bought it then, I would be in a much more sticky situation than I am now. So yeah, I really recommend it. I'm also using Photoshop for the actual art software side. I can't necessarily tell you that's absolutely the program to use, because these days Clip Studio Paint, amongst others, have some fantastic capabilities and lots of features that Photoshop itself doesn't have. But I'm somewhat locked into Photoshop because it's what I learnt. And I don't really have the time to retrain myself on different software at the moment. But I like Photoshop. It does what I want it to do until it doesn't, which, you know, is more to do with my computer not having enough RAM, I think, than anything else. But yeah, Procreate's also pretty cool. I've tried doing art on a iPad. Great if you can kind of learn that way. But unfortunately for me, I found it was a bit different to working on a Cintiq, so it's taking me quite a while to kind of train myself. And thank you so much to Tilyi for the subscription. That is incredibly kind of you and seriously means a whole bunch. We must almost be at my sub-target, so thank you so much. Okay, this hand is almost done. Let me just do that lower side. So now let's do the staff that she's wielding. Oh my goodness, Rebel, thank you so very much. Oh my god, thank you. That's so kind. All the emotes, that's fantastic. Yeah, thank you very much. Oh, I have the most wonderful supportive chat. You're all wonderful people. Thank you. Everyone who's just been given a sub, I'll pop it in again. Go check out the Discord. You'll be able to jump in now. Now, I quite like having a slightly organic look to stuffs, even though this one is very kind of poker straight. Okay. Obviously in the middle we've got all these kind of wrappings, so they're going to add a lot more kind of bobbliness to the outer kind of shape. Oh yeah, and for a bit of context, this particular commission is for a flat shaded full body. Oh, this chat's wonderful. Thank you all so much. And thank you so much, Superfickle, for following as well. Okay, so let's go and do the top of this here stuff. I think a 7, maybe a 6 would be more appropriate for doing this part. It's going to be a bit more detailed. So we have a kind of a staff that's made up very much of these kind of diamond shapes. I'm just going to scroll down so I've got a bit more reference to work with here. Yes. In fact, there should be a diamond in the middle, so I'm just going to pop that in. Often when I'm drawing more geometric shapes like this, I mark out like the edge points of corners. And find that's the easiest way. Oh, music's getting intense. Whoops. I'm also chucking my pen everywhere, which is not something I recommend doing as part of the artistic process. Okay. Oh, thank you so much, Superfickle. That's very kind. It honestly means an awful lot. Right, just gonna kind of add the nice kind of edges to these gems. Like I say, most of these details will come through in the colouring stage for them. Sometimes I'm like, oh, trying to get nice straight lines, absolute nightmare. There we go. That'll do it. Is flat shaded yes, so the painterly style is my most kind of complicated style of colouring because it's like a full-on, it's like traditional painting style like I used to do when I was doing oils, that kind of thing. The flat shaded is slightly more stylized. You'll see in a minute because I'm probably going to start colouring fairly soon. But yes, it's not quite so time consuming, which is why it's a bit less expensive. Try to work out how that shape is. Ah, I see how this shape works. Okay, we have the top crystal part of the staff complete. Now we'll just go and do the rest of the lower half. And the music's getting super intense just for this, huh? Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, I'll probably be doing some more costuming soon. I don't know if the LARPs I do are actually going to be starting up again in the new year. I highly doubt there'll be anything for a few months, even though the UK has started now doing vaccinations. I'm hoping that we at least get the second half of the year games running, because I'm really itching to get back into LARP. I'm saving up for some new costume. As it is, when it comes to like dresses and that kind of lighter soft kit, I tend to make that myself. Stu, thank you so much for subscribing. Thank you so much, Stu. Very, very kind. But yeah, so basically, things like heavy cloaks and coats, I tend to prefer purchasing because it's very important to make sure you are warm at LARP, because it gets bloody cold and you don't want to ruin an event because you've made yourself ill by getting too cold, and now the rest of the weekend is ruined. So that's what I tend to buy, kind of coats and stuff, rather than try and make them, because I can't be sure. Well, I'm a bit tight when it comes to sewing. The main reason I make kit is to save money. If you're making proper warm cozy coats and cloaks, honestly, you are paying just as much for materials to make a really nice one than you are as buying one that's pre-made. Because like fabric like wool and stuff is super expensive. Okay. Yeah, you do. I'm so looking forward to Empire again. Okay, so just kind of deciding, actually this line doesn't want to go all the way back there. That'll do for that bottom shape. Okay, so the staff is on. Now we're just going to do the little scarf, which also kind of rhymes, and the bag, and we'll be ready to start colouring. So I am actually going to merge this in, and then make a new layer for the scarf. Oh, see, I wish we had more Ren fairs here in the UK. You'd think we would, but we just don't. But yeah, there's just nothing like that going on around here. So LARP is super intimidating. I 100% feel you on that one. I was very lucky that I had a group of friends who kind of invited me to come with their group to try it out, which made the whole process so much less scary. It's much easier if you know people who already go and can kind of show you the ropes. In this case, I'll be kind of introducing Stu to Empire when it eventually runs again. One day. And I'll also be taking along 2 other friends for the first time, and my little brother who's only been once. They should really hire me to do advertising, because I talk about Empire so much. But there's another one in the UK called Lorien Trust that I also want to give a go, 'cause it sounds kind of like Warhammer Fantasy. And that sounds fun too. a more comfortable chair than this, don't I? Yeah, when I've hopefully completed moving house and all that stressful stuff, I'm gonna have a proper setup for streaming in the new office. Much more comfortable, hopefully. Okay, and there is a little scarf kind of trailing along the back. And so the next thing to do is this crossbody bag. So I'm actually going to turn down the opacity of the line art just so I can see what I'm doing a little bit better. LARP is scary. I would say Empire LARP is less scary than some because it's so big. It almost feels more like a festival, like a Ren Fair kind of thing. You still have a lot to remember, but I don't know, it's less daunting when there are more people because there's less focus on you, if that makes sense. I've been to some Vampire the Masquerade LARPs, which were much smaller, and you just feel like your actions are so much more calculated with a theme like VTM. Empire, you can just go along, and if you accidentally commit heresy, it's no big deal. You might get executed, but you'll just come back as a new character an hour later. It's fine. I mean, I'm a necromancer and I haven't been, like, arrested yet. And I've kind of participated in some pretty gnarly summoning rituals, so if they don't take me away, then you're probably fine. Oh, Lizzo, thank you so much. You're on fire today. No biggie, you might get executed. I mean, that's part of the fun of LARP, right? Is doing something terribly wrong, and then someone accusing you of heresy, and then the Inquisitors come around, and then they decide you are unvirtuous, and therefore must be executed. It's the only way to deal with the situation. At that point, it helps to be part of a group who have your own, like, family priest to get you off the hook. You just end up in the most ridiculous scenarios, and it's just hilarious. Okay, so with a little bag in down there, just see how that looks with that. Nice, nice. What else do we have to add? I think that's everything. So let's turn off the sketch. Turn that back up to 100% and just erase areas where we are crossing over. And then we can start the bit that's the most fun. We can start colouring. Yeah, so the house that I'm part of in Empire, well, obviously you've got these different factions in Empire. And I'm part of a faction called Dawn, which are very much inspired by like 13th, 14th century kind of like King Arthur and his court, very like the very romanticized Knights of the Round Table kind of theme to it. And our family priest is a priest of pride, so he's always like basically bigging you up before battles from like singing, basically doing the most brilliant like songs to remind you how awesome you are and that you should be proud of your accomplishments. Basically, he's a hype man. Which is kind of hilarious. Professional hype man, yeah. Okay, so with that, I think all of our line art is complete. I'm just going to, just for my own sake, I'm going to erase the shadow where it intersects with the feet, because that'll annoy me. Technically the shadow should progress to under the staff, but this isn't the final shadow, so we'll leave it for now. In the meantime, it's time we merge together some more of these top layers. I'm just going to tidy up around the ear. Don't think it intersects anywhere else. So now we can merge it all together. So we have one single layer for our line art, which I will name, because otherwise we're going to get confused on the weight of many, many layers. Alright, so it's officially time to start colouring. I'm going to call this layer skin, and I'm just going to double check the tone of this character's skin. Okay, so this character is a fire Genasi, and they have a slightly kind of a light to greyish ashen skin, so that's what we're going to be going with today. And it almost turns towards purple a little bit based on the references I've been given, so that's where we're going to start. Yeah, a hype man can absolve you of crimes against the Empire. It's true. That, you laugh, Stu, but that's, I literally hear stuff like that all the time. It's hilarious. Oh, and don't forget to save. Thank you very much. Yeah, this is the face of a serious adventurer. I'm just going to colour over the circlet she's wearing for now. I'll make that a different layer above the skin when I get to it. So anyone who saw last week's streams where I was working on flat shaded portraits, for the full body, I use a very similar workflow. It's just the clothes tend to use a technique that's a bit more like my full painterly, just because I like to shade stuff properly. And I often get sucked into a situation where I'm like, I know this is technically a simpler commission, but I just don't like leaving things unrendered. Ooh, that's pretty. Those color combinations sound really gorgeous. Bordeaux Lathalas, I really like that idea. I've done a few kind of like Star Druid or Star themed characters in the past. And I can definitely vouch for the fact that if you have like white hair, it looks really cool, especially if you've got you're a furbolg, so you can really play with other kind of tones to combine that with. Reference pics and finding color palette inspiration ideas, super useful for like making your mind up with what you would like best. But yes, colouring always starts with a slightly boring phase where I hand paint my base kind of areas. I know in things like Procreate and Clip Studio Paint you can just drag and drop your colour on, but Photoshop does not have such a power, sadly. I mean, it kind of does. There is a paint fill tool and like the magic wand for selecting areas, but I never find it's quite neat enough for my liking, so I just go in and do it myself by hand. One hand. She's going to be wearing kind of like dark leggings, so there won't be any skin showing there, but we will need to do her toes. Oh, thank you so much for the raid. Welcome to the stream. I hope you enjoy it. Yay, readers! You raided at not the most interesting point, but I promise you it will be getting more juicy as soon as I get this base layer down. Yeah, the music really turned up for the raid, didn't it? Speaking of raids, finally did the Deepstone Crypt, the new Destiny raid last week. And since I did it the first time, I've now done it twice more because it's so much fun. Stu can attest to that. We did it together on Monday. But, man, I just love all the stuff in the new expansion for Destiny. Can we get a Deepstone Lullaby up there? I tell you what, next stream on Friday, I will switch up some music and put some cool Destiny 2 stuff on, because Bungie are lovely and streamers can use their music as long as they're kind of creating some content along with it. Oh, Rebel, thank you so much for stopping by. Have a lovely afternoon, and I look forward to seeing you again on Friday. Okay, that's all of our base skin layers. So it is now time to do the fun part. Making sure, first of all, that we turn on alpha lock so we don't paint outside of our nicely kind of arranged areas. We can start to do some blush, I think, first. Slightly more saturated shade of kind of purple. I'm just going to paint the kind of Animal Crossing villager nose here. And then with a larger brush, oh, maybe not that big. Yeah, this looks about right. Just kind of paint like an eye mask rough area across the face. Toeses, yes, this one has toeses because I wanted to do some cute Naruto boots. Besides, she's a fire Genasi, her toes ain't gonna get cold. Okay, so once this is nicely kind of blended into the base skin tone, we can then start adding some shadow around the eyes. So with a slightly darker colour, and this time edging the opposite way towards blue, we can go in and start with a fairly large shadow in the front corner, which just kind of reaches up to gently touch the top of the eyebrow. A bit less gentle on the side here, where there's a bit more shadow being cast by the bridge of the nose. And then we try and just go around the eye, marking out the lower and upper eyelids. Like so. Okay. Oh, thank you so much, Mary Louise. Like I say, now that I have the YouTube channel, I am uploading VODs as soon as I am able to. This one should probably actually go up this evening, because I can get that uploading whilst I'm playing D&D. So, timing perfect. Do you think fire Genasi sleep in bowls of water so they don't burn their pillows? I imagine they probably just have to have like dragon skin pillows or something gnarly. Like, make sure it's been enchanted with fireproofing. Something like that, I'd imagine. Okay, basically once I've done that step, we then pick another darker shade of, in this case, purple. I'm just going to turn down my heating a bit. Ooh, it's actually getting nice and toasty in here, finally. To actually have some colour in my face. Okay, so with a slightly dark tone, we can then add some stronger shadows right in the corner of the eye. And just following the line of the nose on the left-hand side. In the far corners as well. Kind of following that shape of the eyelid. Sometimes I'll add a little bit under the nose, just where kind of the nostrils are. A tiny bit under the lips. And then the inner ear will get some of the dark shadow. As will just under the neck kind of area. And then we'll have shadows cast by the hair. This hair is, so this particular character, her hair isn't like some fire Genasi. Hair isn't like properly on fire, it's just going to be a very bright shade of orange fading to kind of like gold and pinks like a sunset, which I am very excited to paint because it sounds gorgeous. So it'll still cast shadows. Yeah, it's going to be very cute. I'm really looking forward to painting that. And then picking back up that slightly lighter shadow colour, I'm just going to add some more shadow to the kind of inner ear. And the bottom of the ear. Like so. And just down there. Alright, okay, so with that done, I'm just going to go and shade the other kind of skin areas. I'm going to slightly darken them because we are moving down on the body, so they'll be a bit more in shadow than the face. Oh, Earth Genasi's fire opal skin, that's amazing. I bet that is really hard to get looking nice, because opals are hard to paint at the best of times. I had a character I was working on last year who wore a lot of opals, and I spent a while just specifically learning how to draw them because opals are just so unlike any other gemstone. They're so pretty. Again, this is flat shaded, so it's not quite as complex as when I'm doing the full painterly style, where I'd be blending all of this. Alright, and then we'll just do the toes. The toeses. Do I have any tips on drawing characters in general? Always struggle with getting proper proportions and details looking correct. I would say the most important advice I can offer for this is references. Literally, usually when I'm working out sketches, I will have references for a pose, for like particular muscles, for hair sometimes. I will have it literally, I'll have it right next to the thing I'm sketching, so I don't have to like look between screens. This is why I don't like sketch on stream quite as often, because you know, it's difficult when you're using a lot of photographs to reference from. I'm not very comfortable with putting other people's stuff on a screen without like checking with them first, even if it's just like reference stock art and stuff. But yeah, for like fabric, clothing, all that kind of stuff, reference will help a million. Painting metals and weapons as well, I always have to have a photo reference for, because it's really hard. But yeah, having it right next to kind of what you're working on helps massively. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I don't really have anything else to say to that. I'm pleased my hair looks healthy. Right, I'm gonna give her some slightly darker nails, I think, than the skin tone. This might be a bit too dark, but I quite like the contrast, and as a fire Genasi, it kind of reminds me of coal. Oh, thank you so much, Quingar17, for the Prime subscription. That is wonderfully kind of you. Honestly, we've had such a great roll today with subs. Thank you all so very, very much. It honestly means the world to me. Just makes all this a lot easier, you know? It means you know, I can spend more time doing content creation, which is great. Because I have so many ideas for things I want to do in December. I want to finally do some art of my characters. I want to do some stuff that I can put up as prints eventually. Obviously, a lot of the work I do is private commissions, so I tend not to put them up for prints because they're people's special characters, so it's not really fair. But I would love to do some stuff I can sell prints of. I also really want to draw Jester in her cute new kind of winter clothing, because that's adorable. I want to draw some High Roller stuff. I want to draw some Mandalorian stuff, Destiny stuff. So much stuff I want to do right now. Also, I kind of want to move house as well. That's kind of like top of my priorities list. Yeah, I mean, when I first started kind of doing digital art, I also did a very strong anime influence style, and there's honestly nothing wrong with that at all if that's what you enjoy. But that's where I started as well. I think when I was kind of moving from that and trying new things, referencing from photographs was my main way to kind of change up my style. Oh, thank you so much. I want to do some more High Roller stuff. I adore the group so much. Wait, that's not the right colour. Boop, boop, boop. And it's not even the right layer. What am I doing? That's the colour we want. Okay. I'm just going to save again. Now we've kind of got our skin layer kind of coming out nicely. I think what I want to do next is the lips, which I'm going to tend towards a slightly more pinky purple, I think. Because they're going to be slightly more colourful than the rest. Well, actually, no, I think this character has red lips. That would be fun. Yeah, start with a nice deep rosy red. This will be a nice kind of complement to the hair. Oh, Super Fickle, that's hilarious. I'm sorry that you have received this judgment. But hey, you know what you were in for. Toes can always happen. Okay, I like that shade. That's quite a nice shade of red. Free the toes, yeah. I'm trying to work out what sounds I can hear from the other room. I'm trying to work out what my partner's playing on the Switch. I think it sounds like Mario Party, but I can't be sure. Alright, we have some cute little red lips. Let's just add a little bit of shine. I try to make up for all the names I don't say right, so I'm pleased I managed to get one. Okay, there we go. We have lips. So that means it's now time to do eyes. I think this character has like steely grey eyes. A light kind of, yeah, grey, silver grey eyes, which is really fun to do. I haven't done eyes that colour. I'm going to make a new layer. I am going to start with blue, actually, purpley blue. I'm going to start with a light greyish blue for the whites of the eyes. Well, I guess it's the thing that I kept calling you Stu in the raid, which must have confused them because they had no context for that. And then your kind of username on the raid was Haidama, and why they called you Haida from that, I had no idea, and I just couldn't stop thinking of Agretzko. And that had me laughing quite a lot. But I love shenanigans like that. Bismuth is awesome. Bismuth is a very pretty mineral. If you watch Steven Universe, you'll probably have an idea what bismuth is. Alright, let's do these steely grey eyes. Start with a nice mid-grey here. I like seeing what people call me when I'm playing games like Destiny or Raid. Usually people settle on Tally, which is good because I quite like that. But often people say Talinia. And I find that funny because that's never how I've pronounced it. I always pronounced it Talinir because Talinir technically means, it's like an old English surname which means swordsman or swordsperson. So it's like privateer or buccaneer, I suppose. But when people pronounce it all sorts of different ways, it does make me smile. Okay, what's level 16? What's layer 16 for again? Did I just make another layer called layer 16 and then do nothing with it? I think I did. This is why you should name your layers, kids. Okay, Mandawiki, welcome to today's stream. Layer 16 is just, yeah, it's just happy to be here with everyone. Just gonna put a bit of emphasis on the eyelashes. Alright, now it's time for the fun bit. Doing the silver grey eyes. So, 6 is too big, we're going to go down to 4. Starting with a ring around the centre of the eye. And then just pushing that ring until it just hits the outside. And then, taking an even lighter colour, adding some little radial bits just coming out from the middle there. I kind of also want to turn down how heavy and dark the outside is, so I'm just going to go over that with the mid-grey. Alright, and there we have some eyes. So the next thing to do is let's call this overline, so we'll rename it now. Make a new layer. Elaran's favorite is the shinies layer, if I can spell it right. I definitely like this shade of silver, which is going to contrast well with everything else. And then we're just going to add the little bright spot there. And we have some nice eyes. Lovely. Alright. Bright orange and red hair with metallic copper highlights. That's gonna be fun. Okay, I think we need to do some eyebrows before we tackle the hair. This hair is going to be very bright. We're going to start with red. It's like our starting point. Make the brush a wee bit bigger. And then we're just going to experiment with going up through some colours here. Going up to that overlines layer. Make the brush a bit smaller first, there we go. Just to add those little highlights in. And I think we're ready to put down a base layer for the rest of the hair. So making a layer beneath the skin, obviously calling it hair. What I'm going to do is we're going to start with the same red. And this hair's going to be an interesting shade because it's going to have its own gradient on top of the shading gradient. So we're just going to start by whacking these colours down. Yeah. Very aerial kind of hair right now. And a few places have just got a bit messy, so let's just turn that one back. And then, whoops, moving down, but not that far. up to the lines of the clothing. And obviously on the left hand side we're going to need to do that too. And then when we get to these little bits, we need to zoom right in with a nice small brush to make sure we don't mess up going over the lines too much. And then exactly the same on the other side. Oh yeah, I wish I could just casually recolor my hair as easy as I paint hair. That would make my life so much more fun. I've wanted to like try dyeing my hair like kind of smoky blue for ages, but I just can't bring myself to deal with the upkeep. Right, let's just do this little flick of hair here. Slightly bigger brush for these outer curves, I think. Alright, and then back with a small brush because we need to go around this little kind of shoulder pad area. Alright, and we're nearly there now. Just got to follow this line down the side of the scarf. Switch to a slightly bigger brush for doing this big bulky curve on this side. Like so. May I ask what drawing tablet you use? Yes, of course. I use the Wacom Cintiq 16, not the Pro because that was way out of my price range. I think it retails for around 450 UK pounds. I also got mine with like a stand for free because I got it like a year and 3/4 ago now. I find it's been really reliable, treated me really well. My only criticism is that the pen nibs run down real quick. So I've had to buy a new set of those already, which I never had to do with my Intuos. But I really like the tablet. It's so good to have my own Cintiq because I find I'm much faster and more efficient using a Cintiq than using a non-screen tablet. Of course, there are lots of other brands you can try out, but I personally have never used... Oh, come on, Photoshop. What the hell? I've never used like Xpen or Huon or anything, so you probably want to watch some reviews before working out what's kind of the best option for you. Cintiqs are pretty expensive, even the non-pro ones, but if you want to try drawing like semi-professionally, then I'd say it's worth the investment because you'll kind of make your money back. Yeah, that's my problem. I really struggle with tablets where you don't see the image. Very much so. So yeah, that's the main reason I got a Cintiq. It just sped up my work so much. Okay, almost done. I like the Intuos range. They were what I used for about 10 years. When did I get my first tablet? Jeez, how old was I? I was 15 when I started using them, so yeah, the Intuos line kept me going for about 8 years. And I really liked them. They were just, yeah, I found them really good. But yes, having the disconnect between what you're doing and then what you're seeing on the screen is real difficult. Right, let's do this, this gradient. This kind of thing going on, it's very Starfire. Almost want to kind of push the pink angle, you know? Okay, so with that in place, thank you so much, Border Atlas, and everyone else just being lovely. With that in place, we are going to do just a blur to get that nice gradient, and then we're going to shade hair a little differently to normal because we want to keep this gradient in place, but we still want to do some shading. So I'm going to hit down multiply. We're going to pick a kind of a pinky colour, like so. Pop that on there, stick on another blur. Then just manually put in the rest of our shadows. So, going to find my favourite hair painting brush, which is called from the Lewin Fur Brushes pack, which you can find if you Google it. I think it's on Gumroad. And yeah, if you just can throw the artist who made these lovely brushes, which is Lewin, I believe, some it's like a pay what you want kind of thing, then you can use these too. And starting from the centre of the parting. Going to add some shadows radiating out. And this is a slightly different technique for hair shading than I normally use. Usually I use the gradient of the hair itself, but obviously in this case we already have a gradient of colour, so we can't also make it on the same layer a gradient of tone. Of shadow, that is. So that's why our shadows are on a separate layer, and this is more the way this tends to be the technique I use for shading clothes. So sometimes you have to kind of move your techniques around and use them for things you wouldn't otherwise usually use them for. But nevertheless, we're starting to get that nice shape coming together. And because our shadow is on a multiply layer, it will shade the colour we have underneath whilst kind of remaining conscious of the fact that we already have this colour underneath. So we won't lose the nice orange to pink. We're just going to carry on rendering with the same kind of brush strokes and kind of technique that I would use for doing hair normally, basically. It's just with a slightly different kind of way of achieving it. And then we're going to carry on doing that all the way down to the bottom of the hair. this hair is wavy, but it's got quite a long and loose flowing wave, which makes rendering it fairly easy, as you can just kind of move the shape of the waves. Hey Dice Ogre, welcome to the stream. I hope you enjoy what you see. I'm currently shading hair, but you can kind of see the shape we're starting to get with this method. And once we've added some highlights as well, it'll really start to pop. Now we've reached this low in the gradient, we do need to take a slightly darker shade in color. We've got areas like here, we already had some shadow from the gradient that we can just darken with this new slightly darker shadow color. Gives us a bit of variation anyway. And we'll also need some on this side. Yeah, that'd be pretty cool if we could put just like a dice roller in chat. Alright, and then we can just darken that hairline ever so slightly. And there we go, there is the shaded hair. Oops, just throw my pencil across the space. And now we can start playing with these colors a bit. Because obviously most hair doesn't have a completely uniform gradient to it. We are going to bring up the, some of these oranges a little higher and some of the pinks a little lower. Almost want to create like an effect that when it's in shadow it goes slightly pink, which gives it almost a little bit of iridescence going on. Okay, and then on the very top I don't want to lose this bright pink because I really like it. We're just going to take a lighter, brighter version of it for highlights on top. Just really get that saturation going. And then just for the very crown, let's just see what some of this looks like as a very, very last bright highlight. Okay. So we have some lovely bright going hair. I'm just going to add some bright highlights to the orange parts as well. How do I pick colours so quickly? To be honest, often I don't stick with the first colours I pick. Even with what you're seeing now, I'll probably do some tweaks later on. In terms of kind of knowing which ones to pick, I never had proper colour theory lessons, but over time you kind of learn what colours complement what. So for example, purple is very nicely complemented by kind of yellowy apricot oranges, that sort of thing, which is why I'm kind of using some of that in some of this. And it's kind of, again, a trial and error process. I experiment a lot. But yeah, I would say I kind of learned over time with a bit of kind of knowing from simple lessons of if you can study a colour wheel, seeing what parts are opposite each other, which bits go together well. There's a lot of guides for that that you can kind of find online fairly easily, which I would recommend. And you kind of see that that's what it looks like without the shadows there. And something you can do with the shadows once they're on is we can increase their saturation, so they kind of make the hair kind of bright while still having the shadow kind of basically the shadowy quality that they're lending, so it's kind of before and after there. We could also take the hair layer, we could bump up that saturation, make it really crazy. We could push it to different sides. Whee! Oh, hell, I love that. Oh, those are my favourite colours. We could up the contrast, which won't do much right now because we haven't got a huge amount of contrasting colours in there. But what I'm thinking I might do is I might actually go to the skin layer, play with that a little bit. We can also jump into colour balance, which allows us to put a bit more pink, red into the skin, or a bit more blue into the skin. I'm actually liking a bit more blue. Again, you can add kind of green tones, you can add yellow, you can add more purple. I quite enjoyed a bit more blue. I think the colder of the skin contrasted nicely with the hair. Again, I'm going to tweak and play with this a lot later, probably. What I'm also going to do is, now we've fixed on final colours for the brows and stuff, I'm going to go back in, add those to the eyebrows, because they really need to be a bit brighter and more saturated, you know? Like so. And with that, I'm trying to think what I want to do next. I'm quite happy with how this is turning out. Oh, I know something fun we can do. Something small. We can add some nice little stray bits of hair. So going back to my normal painting brush, going all the way down, or 6 might even be too big. I think a 4 is what we're going to need. We can just kind of add some little stray strands of hair. And these you can just do with a nice kind of flowing single brush stroke. Often they'll take me a few times to get one I like. It's very experimental. So for example, on top of the face, you might want it a bit darker, like so. But it's a bit of fun to mess around with. I enjoy doing it. Down here, for example, we'll have the orange. Just gives a tiny bit more movement and variation to the hair, really. But yeah, having a look at the colour wheel will definitely helps, I find. Oh, Lezef, thank you so much for joining us. It was lovely to have you here, as always. Going back down to the hair, I'm almost tempted to up the brightness a bit. Ooh, yes, that I like. And that I will keep. But yes, there's one more thing I would like to do this afternoon before I head off and feed myself before D&D. We're going to go to the line art layer, and we're going to colour the line arts, because I find coloured line art looks so much nicer than plain grey. What I'm going to do, I'm going to take 2 colours which are kind of a pinky purple, one lighter and one a bit darker. And then just going to drop a gradient going down on the line art. And at first you don't really see much of a difference, but then when you zoom in a bit, the actual lines themselves are now slightly coloured, which fits in nicer with the rest of what we're doing here. And I'm just going to do a tiny bit of housekeeping on the skin layer, places where it goes a little over where it's meant to go, just to make the whole thing look a little bit neater. I often get this on the ears. For some reason when I'm doing the ears, I always have too much skin tone coming in. And lastly, there. Oh, let's do a little bit more. Let's just do the little circlet, shall we? Let's do a bit of metals rendering. So, one more layer. We're going to clip this to the skin. We are going to start with a very, kind of a dark reddish brown to start us off, because we want to match in with the red that we've got coming in from the hair. We are going to paint the base of the circlet in this brown. And thank you so much to the sub-gift, Les F. Wow, we have smashed my monthly goal beautifully. Thank you all so much. It's a weird time for a monthly goal, but my Twitch pays me basically on the 15th of the month, which is such a weird and random time. Alright, so with that layer down, we're going to go up to the shinies layer, everyone's favourite layer. We're going to start with a nice rich, in fact this might even be like a coppery coloured circuit now I think about it. And we're just going to add in our metallics. And doing it on this layer means we can almost kind of ignore the line art in places, which I find helps for getting that metallic look. Alright, next tone, we're moving up towards a nice orangey, peachy colour. Come in there and here, and then finally our bright golden yellow. And there we have a nice little metallic circlet. Oh, the Bean Beanson, thank you so much. It's very, very kind. And just before we finish up, I'm just going to add a wee bit of shadow underneath the circlet, because that's going to be casting its own little bit of shadow there. And then lastly, I always keep saying lastly, I'm just going to add a bit of darker line art around the eyes, just so we don't lose the nice colours there. Okay, so I think that is where we will leave it for this evening. We've done a nice kind of lot today. I'll be finishing off this character over the next few days, so keep an eye out when you want to see the finished thing. If you would like to see the finished thing, I recommend you check out my Twitter. That's where I upload a lot of finished artwork, as well as updates on when I'm streaming, new YouTube videos, all that kind of thing. And next up, if you don't use Twitter a whole lot, I also have an Instagram where I also put finished art, so please check that out and drop a follow if Instagram is something that you use a lot. Next up, I now have a YouTube. This is where you can find the VOD of this stream if you missed the start, where I'm working on the line art. You can pop along there and it should be up in a couple of hours, so keep an eye out for that one. It also, hopefully, will soon have some new content, some more gaming relating content, when I have time to finish it. Next up, ArtStation. If you purely want to see my portfolio and just my portfolio, ArtStation is the place to go. Usually I put my best pieces up there, and it's just a good place to see everything in one place. Oh, thank you so much, Simbrifical. I'm really pleased you enjoyed the stream and found it somewhat helpful. Okay, what else? Music, if you've enjoyed the music on the background in this stream, it's all by a wonderful artist named Kai Engel. You can find their work on the Free Music Archive as well as Spotify, and it's great, royalty-free, atmospheric stuff. Great for streams, D&D, all the above. Last, but most certainly not least, if you enjoy my work and you want to help me make this my full-time occupation, check out my Patreon. There are various different tiers on Patreon which can get you different benefits, ranging from works in progress, exclusive artwork that I don't upload anywhere else, all the way to mission priority and monthly sketches. So do check that out if you feel like throwing a bit of support my way. Okay, I think that's everything. So thank you everyone so very much for joining me this afternoon as I worked on this lovely Fire Genasi. I will be back on Friday at 5 PM GMT, that's UK time. Oh, no problem, Caledon, I'm really pleased you enjoyed it. But yes, I will see you on Friday. Until then, stay warm and stay safe, and have a lovely week. I'll be back soon. Bye for now.